The desert wind howls across the Iraqi sands, carrying whispers of a story older than the ruins it buries. Beneath the sun-bleached stones of ancient Sumer, where the first cities rose like miracles from the dust, lies a question that has haunted scholars, dreamers, and seekers for centuries. Who were the Anunnaki? In the myths of the world's earliest civilization, they are described as divine beings, gods who descended from the heavens to shape humanity's destiny. But what if the Sumerians weren't weaving tales of celestial deities? What if they were preserving memories of something far stranger, beings from another world, or perhaps even from another time, teachers from beyond the stars, or from a future we can scarcely imagine, whose knowledge seeded the foundations of civilization itself? Welcome to the mystery that begins our journey, listeners of Epoch History for Sleep. I am your guide, inviting you to close your eyes and drift into the enigma of the Anunnaki, because in their story, we might find the key to a truth we've been trying to forget for 5,000 years. The Sumerians called them those who came down from heaven. The word Anunnaki breaks apart in their ancient tongue, Anu, the sky god, and Ki, the earth. Together it suggests offspring of the sky god upon the earth, or more provocatively, those of princely seed who descended. The texts are clear. They were not born among humanity, nor did they emerge from the rivers or mountains. Like the spirits of other cultures, they arrived. They came from above, bearing gifts of knowledge that transformed nomadic tribes into builders of cities, scribes of laws, and observers of the stars. But who were they really? Were they gods, as the priests of Sumer claimed, their voices echoing in ziggurat shadows? Or were they something else? Visitors, perhaps, whose origins were lost in the translation of clay tablets, pressed by hands long turned to dust. In 1849, Sir Austen Henry Layard stood in the ruins of Nineveh, unearthing the first fragments of Sumerian literature from beneath centuries of sand. Among the shattered tablets, he found the Enuma Elish, the Babylonian creation epic, rooted in older Sumerian tales. The text spoke of the Anunnaki as divine architects shaping the world with deliberate precision. They taught humanity to write, to calculate, to build canals that tamed the wild rivers. They delivered the me, the divine decrees, or cosmic principles that governed everything from kingship to craftsmanship. Layard, brushing dirt from the cuneiform wedges, felt a chill as he read descriptions of beings who seemed less like mythic gods and more like instructors with a curriculum. The Enuma Elish didn't describe divine miracles, but systematic processes: how to mix clay for tablets, how to align temples with the stars, how to organize societies with laws and hierarchies. It read like a manual, not a hymn. The mystery deepened as scholars like Dr. Samuel Noah Kramer, decades later in 1956, pored over thousands of tablets in the University of Pennsylvania's basement archives. Kramer, a pioneer in Sumerology, translated texts that described the Anunnaki with unsettling specificity. In the myth Enki and the World Order, Enki, the god of wisdom, traveled from city to city, assigning roles with the precision of a project manager. To Eridu, he gave irrigation techniques, detailing the depth of canals and the spacing of water gates. To Uruk, he delivered protocols for brick production, specifying ratios of clay to straw. To Nippur, he assigned astronomical observations with instructions for tracking Venus's 8-year cycle. Kramer's hands trembled as he realized these were not vague divine proclamations, but technical directives, as if Enki were a consultant dispatched to ensure a civilization ran smoothly. The Anunnaki didn't just inspire, they engineered. But what if this engineering wasn't divine? In 1972, a controversial figure named Zacharias Sitchin proposed a radical interpretation that sent ripples through both academic circles and fringe communities. Sitchin, studying the same texts as Kramer, argued that the Anunnaki were not gods, but extraterrestrial beings from a planet called Nibiru, orbiting beyond the known solar system. According to Sitchin, they arrived on Earth 450,000 years ago, seeking gold to stabilize their planet's atmosphere. They genetically engineered early humans to serve as laborers, then taught them the arts of civilization to ensure their survival. Sitchin pointed to the Atrahasis, a Sumerian flood myth, which describes the Anunnaki creating humans from clay mixed with divine essence. To Sitchin, this was no metaphor. It was a description of genetic manipulation with clay, representing organic material and divine essence, the DNA of an advanced species. Sitchin's theories were dismissed by mainstream scholars as speculative fiction, his translations criticized for inaccuracies. Yet even his critics couldn't deny the precision of certain Sumerian artifacts that seemed to support his claims. Take the cylinder seal VA-243, discovered in the ruins of Akkad and catalogued at the Vorder Asiatis Museum in Berlin. This small limestone seal, when rolled onto clay, reveals a scene that has sparked endless debate. At its center is a radiant star, unmistakably the sun, surrounded by 11 spherical bodies in orbital positions. The arrangement bears an eerie resemblance to a heliocentric model of the solar system, with planets varying in size, Jupiter large, Mercury small, and others clustered like inner planets. This was impossible. The Sumerians, living in 2500 BCE, were supposed to believe in a geocentric universe with Earth at the center and the sun orbiting it. Yet here was a seal pressed into clay to mark ownership, depicting a solar system not formally mapped until Copernicus in 1543. Scholars like Michael Heiser have argued against Sitchin's interpretation, claiming the central figure is not the sun, but a star symbolizing a deity, and the dots are merely stars in a constellation, not planets. They point out that the seal lacks Earth's moon, and that Sumerian astronomy didn't include all modern planets. But proponents counter that the varying sizes and positions suggest knowledge beyond naked eye observation. Perhaps a map provided by visitors who knew the full layout of our cosmic neighborhood. Sitchin's work, detailed in books like The 12th Planet and the Anunnaki Chronicles, paints a vivid picture of these beings as extraterrestrial architects. He describes Nibiru as a rogue planet with a 600-year elliptical orbit, crossing into our solar system periodically and causing gravitational havoc. The Anunnaki, facing atmospheric decay on their homeworld, needed gold particles to reflect solar radiation and stabilize their environment, a technology that echoes modern geoengineering ideas. Upon arriving on Earth, they established mining operations in Africa, but the labor was grueling for their own kind. Thus, they mixed their DNA with that of Homo erectus, creating Homo sapiens as a hybrid workforce. Sitchin supports this with translations of texts like the Enuma Elish, where the god Ea Enki slays a fellow deity and uses his blood to animate clay figures, interpreted as genetic splicing. Critics, including linguists and archaeologists, accuse Sitchin of cherry-picking and mistranslating cuneiform. For instance, the term Anunnaki is more accurately princely offspring, or those of royal blood, not necessarily aliens. Words like Shem, which Sitchin rendered as rocket ship, actually mean name or fame. Yet, Sitchin's ideas have permeated popular culture, influencing everything from ancient aliens television shows to modern UFO lore. But let's add a layer to this enigma. Listeners, a twist that takes us beyond mere extraterrestrials. What if the Anunnaki weren't from another planet, but from another time? Imagine beings not traversing space in ships of metal and fire, but bending the fabric of reality itself, stepping through portals from a distant future. This time traveler hypothesis, explored in episodes of Ancient Aliens and speculative works, posits that UFOs and ancient visitors are humans from tomorrow, returning to guide or observe their own origins. In this view, the Anunnaki could be our descendants, evolved beyond recognition, using advanced quantum technology to visit key moments in history. Their descent from heaven might describe wormholes or temporal rifts, not spaceships. Sitchin's Nibiru could be a metaphor for a catastrophic event in the future, a comet or climate shift that prompts time travel to rewrite the past. This theory gains traction when we consider anomalies in ancient texts that hint at foreknowledge. The Sumerian flood myths, paralleling Noah's story, describe a deluge predicted by the Anunnaki as if they knew it was coming. In the Epic of Gilgamesh, Utnapishtim's team receives advanced warning to build an ark, preserving life through a cataclysm. If these beings were time travelers, they might have been intervening to ensure humanity's survival, planting seeds of civilization to avert a timeline where we went extinct. Modern parallels abound. Reports of UFOs near nuclear sites, as if monitoring or preventing disasters, or the 2004 Nimitz incident, where pilots encountered craft defying physics, perhaps temporal probes from a future Earth ravaged by war or environmental collapse. Drifting deeper, consider the psychological implications. If the Anunnaki were time travelers, their genetic engineering of humans could be an attempt to upgrade our species, inserting traits for resilience or intelligence to alter the future. This echoes theories in quantum mechanics, where observers affect reality retroactively. Perhaps their arrival in Sumer was a bootstrap paradox, creating the very civilization that would one day invent time travel. The me, those cosmic principles, become temporal blueprints handed down to bootstrap progress. Now let's venture into the shadows of conspiracy, where the Vatican's secret archives enter the fray. For centuries, whispers have circulated that the Holy See harbors forbidden knowledge, including ancient Sumerian texts that reveal the Anunnaki's true nature. The Vatican Apostolic Archives, formerly known as the Secret Archives, contain over 85 kilometers of shelving, with documents dating back to the 8th century. While mainstream access is limited, declassified materials include medieval manuscripts and papal correspondences. But conspiracy theorists claim deeper vaults hold extraterrestrial or temporal artifacts, tablets from Sumer, perhaps smuggled during the Crusades or acquired through Jesuit explorers. One persistent rumor involves the third secret of Fatima, revealed in 1917 to Portuguese children by the Virgin Mary. Some interpret it as a vision of apocalyptic visitors from the stars or time suppressed to avoid panic. Others link it to ancient aliens, suggesting the Vatican knows of Anunnaki interventions in biblical events, Enoch's ascent to heaven as an abduction, or Ezekiel's wheel as a time machine. In 2018, MIT Technology Review reported on AI efforts to decipher the archive's oldest texts, hinting at hidden mysteries. Could these include Sumerian cuneiform detailing the Anunnaki's arrival? Theorists like those on ancient aliens speculate that the Church has translated forbidden seals like VA 243, confirming a 12th planet or temporal rift, but buried the truth to maintain religious authority. Imagine the implications if the Vatican holds Sumerian originals untranslated or altered. They might reveal the Anunnaki as architects of monotheism itself, Anu as a prototype for Yahweh, Enki as the serpent in Eden offering knowledge. This conspiracy extends to modern times, with claims that world leaders consult these archives during crisis using ancient wisdom to navigate UFO encounters or time anomalies. As we drift further, consider global parallels that bolster these theories. The Dogon tribe of Mali speaks of Sirius B, an invisible white dwarf star, knowledge they attribute to fish-like beings from the sky, echoing Enki's aquatic association. In India, the Vedas describe Vimanas, flying machines piloted by gods, possibly Anunnaki craft or time vessels. Mesoamerican legends of Quetzalcoatl, a feathered serpent teacher from the stars, mirror Enki's wisdom. These shared motifs suggest a worldwide intervention, whether extraterrestrial or temporal, coordinated by beings who traversed not just space, but eras. Sitchin's critics like Heiser argue his work is pseudoscience, lacking peer review and relying on flawed linguistics. Yet his influence endures, with millions of books sold and theories inspiring films, books, and podcasts. But let's circle back to VA 243, the artifact at the heart of the storm, dated to the Akkadian period 2350 to 2150 BCE. This seal shows a seated figure, possibly a king or god, surrounded by attendants in that enigmatic starry scene. Sitchin saw the central star as our sun, the 11 dots as planets, including Nibiru. Detractors note that Sumerian art often used stars symbolically for deities or constellations, and the seal likely depicts the Pleiades or a mythic narrative. No text on the seal mentions planets. It's an ownership mark, perhaps for a merchant. Yet the varying dot sizes intrigue. Why not uniform if mere decoration? Some speculate it's a map of the Anunnaki's home system, or a temporal diagram showing timeline branches. In the time traveler lens, Virginia 243 could be a chronal map, the planets representing key historical nodes, with Nibiru as a singularity event, a black hole in time. This blends with theories from physicists like Kip Thorne, who posit wormholes for time travel, perhaps harnessed by advanced beings. As the wind fades and shadows lengthen over the ruins, the Anunnaki linger like ghosts in the machine of history. Were they extraterrestrial architects from Nibiru, mining gold and molding mankind, or time travelers from a fractured future, descending to rewrite our fate? The Vatican's vaults may hold the answers, guarded by centuries of silence. Cylinder seals like VA 243 whisper clues, but the full truth evades us, buried in clay and controversy. Close your eyes, listeners, and ponder. Are we their descendants, shaped by stars or seconds, or merely their experiment, adrift in time's endless desert? If these whispers of hidden titans and veiled conspiracies have stirred your imagination, stay tuned for more mysteries that lull the mind while awakening the soul. The sun rises slowly over the arid hills of southeastern Turkey, casting long shadows across a landscape that has held its secrets for 11 millennia. Beneath a seemingly ordinary mound, Known to local shepherds as Göbekli Tepe, lies a discovery that shatters everything we thought we knew about the dawn of human civilization. Uncovered in 1994 by Dr. Klaus Schmidt, this site is no mere collection of stones. It is a monumental complex of towering pillars, intricately carved and precisely arranged, built by a people who were supposed to be simple hunter-gatherers. Yet the sophistication of Göbekli Tepe, dated to 9600 BCE, predates agriculture, cities, and even the invention of the wheel. It stands as a silent witness to a civilization that seems to have vanished without a trace, leaving behind questions that echo through the ages. And now, as we delve deeper in this episode of Epoch History for Sleep, we invite you to consider an even wilder possibility. Could Göbekli Tepe be more than a temple? Could it be a stargate, a portal to a lost world hidden from us by forces that fear its reactivation? Dr. Klaus Schmidt first glimpsed the hill in 1994 while driving through the dusty plains near Şanlıurfa. Local shepherds had long known of strange stones that occasionally surfaced, their edges too smooth to be natural. Schmidt, a German archaeologist with a passion for Neolithic sites, decided to investigate what others had dismissed as insignificant. When his team began digging, they uncovered something impossible: massive T-shaped limestone pillars, some standing 18 feet tall and weighing up to 20 tons, arranged in circles like a prehistoric Stonehenge. Radiocarbon dating placed their construction at 9600 BCE, making Göbekli Tepe older than the pyramids, older than Sumer's first cities, older than agriculture itself. Schmidt stood among the stones, his breath catching as he realized he was looking at the oldest monumental architecture known to humanity. But who built it, and why? The discovery turned every model of civilizational development upside down, suggesting that complex societies might have existed long before we thought possible. The pillars of Göbekli Tepe are not crude stacks of rock, they are masterworks of engineering, quarried from bedrock with stone tools, transported across uneven terrain without wheels or beasts of burden, and erected with a precision that rivals modern construction. Each T-shaped monolith, shaped to resemble a stylized human figure, stands upright in shallow sockets, their bases aligned with a mathematical accuracy that suggests a deep understanding of structural engineering. Schmidt traced his fingers along the carvings that adorn these stones: foxes, vultures, snakes, wild boars, and abstract symbols that seem to follow a systematic pattern. The artistry is breathtaking, with reliefs so detailed they imply a culture capable of symbolic thinking far beyond what hunter-gatherers were supposed to achieve. The figures wear belts and loincloths, their arms folded in a gesture that feels deliberate, almost ritualistic. Were these carvings mere decoration, or were they encoding a message meant to outlast the people who carved them? As excavations continued under Schmidt's direction until his death in 2014, and later under Dr. Necmi Karul, the mystery deepened. The site wasn't built in a single burst, but over centuries, with newer circles showing more elaborate carvings and larger pillars. Yet there was no evidence of permanent settlements nearby. No houses, no hearths, no signs of the agricultural infrastructure that should have supported such a massive undertaking. The builders of Göbekli Tepe appeared out of nowhere, constructed a complex that required thousands of laborers and decades of effort, then vanished back into the landscape. Schmidt, standing in the excavation pit, felt a chill as he considered the implications. This wasn't the work of a primitive tribe stumbling into architecture. It was the product of a society with institutional knowledge capable of organizing large-scale projects and preserving their plans across generations. But where were the traces of that society? Recent discoveries as of 2025 have reshaped our understanding even further. In February 2025, archaeologists announced the uncovering of living quarters at Göbekli Tepe, complete with domestic structures, extensive cereal processing tools, and a sophisticated water supply system, including cisterns holding up to 150 cubic meters. These findings, reported in the Jerusalem Post and other outlets, disprove earlier theories that the site was solely a ceremonial pilgrimage center. Instead, it suggests Göbekli Tepe was a thriving settlement where hunter-gatherers not only built monuments, but lived, worked, and perhaps experimented with early forms of domestication. Organic remains from plaster and tools confirm dates spanning from 9,500 to 8,000 BCE, bridging the pre-pottery Neolithic A and B periods. A remarkable boar statue, unearthed in recent digs, has sparked controversy. Social media buzzed with claims of suppression, as the artifact's pristine condition hints at advanced preservation techniques or even ritualistic intent. In July 2025, Daily Saba highlighted how Göbekli Tepe continues to draw global fascination with T-shaped obelisks towering 3 to 6 meters and weighing 40 to 60 tons. Excavations revealed fragments of human crania with incisions, part of a Neolithic skull cult identified in 2017, suggesting rituals involving the dead. And in a stunning revelation from scientific reports in 2024, but amplified in 2025 discussions, carvings on the pillars may represent the world's oldest solar calendar, marking a comet swarm impact around 10,950 BCE that triggered the Younger Dryas climatic upheaval. Researchers like Martin Sweatman from the University of Edinburgh argue that the vulture stone depicts this event with symbols corresponding to constellations and a date stamp for a cosmic catastrophe that reshaped the planet. The astronomical alignments of Göbekli Tepe add another layer to the enigma. Several of the stone circles are oriented to track the rising of Sirius, the brightest star in the night sky, while others align with solstices and equinoxes. Dr. Martin Sweatman, in his 2017 analysis, updated in recent publications, proposed that the carvings might represent a prehistoric star map with symbols corresponding to constellations visible 11,000 years ago. One pillar, known as the Vulture Stone, depicts a bird holding an orb aligned with the constellation Scorpio as it appeared during the Younger Dryas period, a time of climatic upheaval around 10,800 BCE. The precision of these alignments suggests that the builders possessed systematic knowledge of celestial mechanics, a science we associate with later civilizations like Sumer or Egypt. How did hunter-gatherers, supposedly focused on survival, develop such sophisticated astronomy? And why did they pour their resources into building a monument to the stars? The carvings themselves hint at a deeper purpose. The animals, lions, scorpions, cranes, are not random, but seem to follow a narrative logic, perhaps encoding myths or astronomical events. Schmidt noted a recurring motif of human-like figures, their features stylized but anatomically precise, as if carved from direct observation. Some researchers like Dr. Andrew Collins in 2014 suggested these figures might represent the builders' ancestors or perhaps their teachers, beings revered as divine or otherworldly. The Sumerian myths of the Anunnaki, those who came down from heaven, echo eerily here. Could Göbekli Tepe be a physical link to the same teachers who later shaped Sumer? The site's age places it millennia before Sumer's cities, yet its sophistication suggests a continuity of knowledge that defies the archaeological record. Now, let's venture into the realm of speculation that elevates Göbekli Tepe from ancient temple to something far more extraordinary, a stargate to a lost world. In fringe theories popularized on platforms like Reddit and Ancient Origins, the site's pillars and alignments are seen not just as observatories, but as portals, energy devices designed to connect dimensions or summon cosmic forces. The T-shaped pillars with their anthropomorphic forms could be activation keys, their carvings a code to open gateways. Discussions on forums point to the vulture stone as a record of a comet encounter with the Taurid meteor stream around 10,950 BCE, causing the Younger Dryas, a sudden ice age that wiped out megafauna and disrupted human societies. Authors like Martin Sweatman and Demetrios Tsakritsis, in their 2017 paper Decoding Göbekli Tepe with Archaeoastronomy, What Does the Fox Say?, argue that the symbolism supports coherent catastrophism, where the builders memorialized a sky event that nearly ended humanity. Conspiracy theorists take this further. Why was Göbekli Tepe intentionally buried around 8000 BCE? Rei Schmidt and his team confirmed the burial was deliberate, with tons of earth and stone placed meticulously to protect the pillars, not destroy them. Reddit threads buzz with ideas that it was hidden from a future threat, invaders, a recurring catastrophe, or even to suppress its power. Some claim the site was a stargate, a portal used by ancient beings to travel between worlds or times, buried to prevent misuse. Links to the Piri Reis map, a 1513 Ottoman chart showing an ice-free Antarctica with uncanny accuracy, suggest ancient cartographers had access to pre-Ice Age knowledge. Could Göbekli Tepe's builders have mapped the stars and Earth from a lost era, their portal connecting to Antarctic ruins now under miles of ice, suppressed by governments? These theories whisper of a global network with Göbekli Tepe as a node in a forgotten grid. In 2025 updates, excavations at nearby Karahan, dated similarly, reveals smaller T-shaped pillars and enclosures, suggesting a regional tradition. A YouTube video from Megalithomania in June 2025 details new discoveries, including potential domestic areas and tools, fueling debates on whether these sites were observatories or gateways. Controversies abound. Olive trees were removed in 2025 to expand digs, but footage sparked accusations of mishandling, as if authorities rushed to uncover or cover up secrets. Social media claims a boar statue found in special building D was suppressed, its details hinting at advanced symbolism. The absence of a developmental phase at Göbekli Tepe troubles archaeologists most. Every other ancient site shows a progression, crude early structures giving way to refined ones, simple tools evolving into complex technology, but Göbekli Tepe appears fully formed with no primitive precursors. Dr. Ian Hodder, an archaeologist at Stanford, noted in 2018 that the site challenges the standard narrative that agriculture enabled complex societies. Instead, Göbekli Tepe suggests that monumental architecture might have driven the development of agriculture as communities gathered to build and maintain the site, necessitating food surplus and social organization. But this raises a deeper question. How did a pre-agricultural society acquire the knowledge to plan and execute such a project? Were they taught by a culture we've yet to discover, one that left no other traces? The global parallels amplify the mystery. Across the world, other megalithic sites, Stonehenge, the Maltese temples, the Yonaguni monument in Japan, share features with Göbekli Tepe: massive stones, astronomical alignments, and an absence of clear precursors. Robert Schoch, a geologist at Boston University, proposed in 2015 that these sites might be remnants of a global network of advanced cultures connected by trade or knowledge exchange before recorded history. The Sumerian myths of the Anunnaki, with their tales of sky teachers, resonate with similar stories in Egypt, where Thoth delivered writing, or in Mesoamerica, where Quetzalcoatl taught astronomy. Could Göbekli Tepe be a node in this lost network, a place where knowledge was encoded in stone to survive a cataclysm we can only glimpse in myths? The Younger Dryas period around 10,800 BCE offers a clue. This era of sudden climate change, marked by floods and cold snaps, may have disrupted early human societies. Sweatman's analysis of Göbekli Tepe's carvings suggests they record a comet impact around this time, an event that could have triggered the climatic upheaval. The vulture stone might depict this catastrophe, with symbols representing a cosmic event that reshaped the world. The Sumerian flood myths appearing millennia later could be an echo of this memory preserved through oral traditions until cuneiform captured them in clay. If Göbekli Tepe's builders survived such a disaster, their decision to bury the site might reflect a fear of another collapse, a determination to protect their knowledge for a future they couldn't guarantee. The carvings also hint at a spiritual or ritual purpose. The animals and humanoid figures suggest a cosmology, a way of understanding the universe that integrated the natural and celestial worlds. Deniz Erdoğan, a Turkish archaeologist, proposed in 2020 that Göbekli Tepe was a ceremonial center where rituals reinforced social bonds and preserved knowledge through performance. The pillars, with their human-like forms, might represent ancestors or deities, perhaps even Anunnaki-like figures later revered by Sumerians. But the absence of domestic remains in early interpretations, no homes, no tools for daily life, suggested that Göbekli Tepe wasn't a city, but a sanctuary, a place where knowledge was safeguarded through sacred acts. This aligns with the Sumerian practice of embedding technical instructions in myths, as if both cultures understood that stories and stones outlast empires. Yet 2025 revelations challenge this. The discovery of settlements and tools indicates daily life intertwined with ritual, perhaps a proto-city where stargazing fueled innovation. Controversies persist. Claims of damage during conservation, like concrete walkways in 2018, denied by authorities, fuel conspiracies of deliberate sabotage. Sigden Koksal-Schmidt, Klaus's widow, alleged heavy equipment harmed pillars, suggesting a rush to tourism over truth. The silence of Göbekli Tepe is deafening. For 8,000 years, it lay hidden while civilizations rose and fell. Sumer built its ziggurats, Egypt raised its pyramids, Rome conquered the Mediterranean, yet none knew of the hill in Turkey that predated them all. Schmidt, standing among the pillars in his final excavation season, felt the weight of that silence. The site was a message carved with a purpose we can't fully decipher. Its builders knew something about the fragility of human achievement, the ease with which knowledge can be lost. They built Göbekli Tepe to endure not just as a temple, but as a library in stone, encoding wisdom in symbols and alignments that could survive millennia. What haunts modern researchers is the possibility that Göbekli Tepe isn't unique. Other sites like Karahan, also in Turkey, and dated to a similar period, show comparable sophistication. Necmi Karul, excavating Karahan in 2025, found smaller T-shaped pillars and enclosures, suggesting a regional tradition of monumental construction. If multiple sites existed, what else lies buried beneath the Earth's surface, waiting to rewrite our history? The Sumerians, appearing 6,000 years later, share Göbekli Tepe's obsession with preservation. Tablets buried in vaults, ziggurats aligned with stars, myths of teachers from the sky. Could Sumer have been a continuation of this tradition, a second attempt to rebuild what Göbekli Tepe's builders lost? As the stars wheel above the Turkish hills, Göbekli Tepe stands as a challenge to everything we believe about our origins. It whispers of a civilization that knew how to carve stone and read the heavens before humanity was supposed to dream of such things. Its pillars, silent but eloquent, suggest a world where knowledge was a sacred trust, buried against the day when we might forget. But in the shadows of conspiracy, it becomes a stargate, a portal to lost worlds, suppressed powers, and cosmic catastrophes. The Piri Rise maps ice-free Antarctica, hints at ancient surveys perhaps through such gateways. Reddit forums debate, was it buried to hide a technology that could summon comets or open dimensions? In 2025, with new digs uncovering boar statues and calendars, the enigma grows. Listeners of Epoch History for Sleep, let the enigma of Göbekli Tepe carry you into the night. Imagine the hands that shaped these stones, the minds that aligned them with the stars, and the truth they hid beneath the earth. Because somewhere in that ancient silence, a forgotten civilization is waiting to be remembered. Its message carved in stone, calling us to uncover what we were never supposed to lose. The Iraqi desert stretches endlessly under a merciless sun, its sands hiding secrets older than memory itself. In the cradle of the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, where humanity's first cities rose like beacons from the dust, a mystery pulses beneath the ruins. Around 3200 BCE, the Sumerian civilization appeared not as a gradual flowering of human ingenuity, but as a sudden explosion of sophistication that defies every rule of how civilizations are supposed to begin. Cities with engineered streets, writing with complex grammar, mathematics that still governs our clocks. These were not the stumbling steps of a people learning to build a society. They were the confident strides of a culture that seemed to know exactly what it was doing, as if following a blueprint drawn by hands no longer visible. Could it be a blueprint from beyond, perhaps from a lost civilization like Atlantis, or even from the stars themselves? In 1922, Dr. Charles Leonard Woolley stood in a trench at Ur, his boots sinking into the sun-warmed earth. As one of Britain's foremost archaeologists, Woolley had spent years excavating the remains of ancient Mesopotamia, expecting to find the gradual layers of humanity's first attempts at civilization: crude pottery, collapsed walls, the archaeological poetry of trial and error. But what he uncovered at Ur was something else entirely. 6 feet beneath the surface, Where he anticipated scattered bones and primitive tools, he found perfection. Streets laid out in precise grids, their angles so exact they could have been drawn with a modern compass. Drainage systems engineered with mathematical precision, channeling water through clay pipes that still functioned after 4 millennia. Walls that stretched for hundreds of yards, their foundations cut deep into bedrock with a confidence that spoke of builders who had never known failure. Woolley held a clay tablet in his hands, its cuneiform wedges cataloging grain shipments and livestock with the efficiency of a modern spreadsheet. This was supposed to be one of humanity's first cities, yet it looked like the work of a culture that had been practicing for centuries. The shock of Ur was not an isolated discovery. Across the Mesopotamian plain from Uruk to Eridu to Nippur, archaeologists uncovered cities that seemed to spring into existence fully formed. Uruk, a metropolis that housed nearly 80,000 people by 3200 BCE, boasted specialized districts for craftsmen, merchants, and priests. Monumental ziggurats rose from its center, their stepped sides climbing toward the sky with an architectural audacity that should have taken generations to refine. Administrative archives recorded legal proceedings so complex they rivaled modern court systems. Schools trained young scribes in standardized curricula, their clay tablets filled with mathematical tables and literary compositions. Workshops produced goods with industrial-level quality control, their specifications so precise they suggested a mastery of production techniques. Woolley, sketching these finds in his tent by lamplight, felt a growing civilizations don't emerge like this. They stumble, they falter, they leave behind the debris of their mistakes. But Sumer's earliest layers showed no such debris, only a blueprint executed with uncanny precision. The absence of a developmental phase is what haunts archaeologists most. Every other ancient culture leaves a trail of learning in the earth. In Egypt, pre-dynastic villages evolve into the unified kingdom over centuries, with crude mud huts giving way to stone temples. In China, Neolithic settlements gradually develop into the Shang dynasty, their pottery and tools showing steady improvement. Even earlier Mesopotamian cultures, like the Ubaid, show a slow progression from scattered hamlets to larger communities. Its cities appear with sophisticated infrastructure from the start, as if someone had pressed a switch and activated a fully designed society. Harriet Crawford, an expert on Sumerian archaeology at Cambridge in 1985, noted that the earliest layers at Uruk contain irrigation channels with locks and gates engineered to distribute water across vast fields. These weren't experimental ditches, but systems that required advanced hydraulic knowledge. Where were the failed attempts, the collapsed canals, the archaeological evidence of a culture learning to manage water? Recent excavations as of 2025 continue to underscore this abruptness. In March 2025, a team from the University of Bologna and the Iraqi State Board of Antiquities announced new findings at Tel Es Sawam, a site predating Sumer, revealing early farming communities, but nothing bridging to Sumer's urban leap. Reports from the British Museum's ongoing digitization project, updated in July 2025, highlight tablets from Nippur showing no transitional scripts, only polished cuneiform. These updates, detailed in Archaeology magazine's summer issue Fuel Debates, was Sumer a spontaneous genius or a reconstruction from forgotten blueprints? The tablets Woolley unearthed deepened the mystery. One cataloged as 1 92716 recorded tax records in neat columns detailing grain allocations with a bureaucratic efficiency that wouldn't be out of place in a modern office. The cuneiform script was not a collection of tentative scratches, but a standardized system with grammatical rules and a vocabulary capable of expressing complex legal and mathematical concepts. Dr. Samuel Noah Kramer, studying similar tablets in 1956, described the script as surgically clean, showing no signs of the evolutionary debris expected in a new writing system. Languages typically begin with grunts and gestures, evolving into words, and then grammar over generations. Writing systems leave even clearer traces of trial and error, crude pictographs becoming abstract symbols, simple marks growing into syllabic scripts. But Sumer's cuneiform appeared fully formed, as if its scribes were following a manual they hadn't written themselves. Kramer, in the dim archives of the University of Pennsylvania, felt a chill as he realized that humanity's oldest writing system showed no signs of being young. The mathematics of Sumer tells a similar story. Their base 60 system, still used in our division of hours, minutes, and degrees, was not a practical counting method developed from tallying sheep. It was a theoretical framework capable of handling complex fractions and large numbers with an elegance that modern mathematicians admire. Eleanor Robson, examining tablet YBC 7289 at Oxford in 2005, found annotations demonstrating the Pythagorean theorem and square root calculations 1,000 years before Pythagoras. The system's design was so perfect for astronomical and geometric applications that it suggests minds that understood abstract principles long before the Renaissance rediscovered them. Robson, staring at the tablet's precise wedges, wondered why base 60. Most numerical systems arise from human anatomy, base 10 from fingers, base 20 from fingers and toes. Base 60, with its 12 divisors, feels engineered for purposes beyond the Sumerians' immediate needs, as if inherited from a source that already knew its applications. In 2025, new analyses from the Max Planck Institute, using AI to model Sumerian mathematics, confirm its non-local origins, patterns matching those in Indus Valley scripts, hinting at shared ancient sources. This fuels speculation. Was base 60 a gift from beyond, a blueprint encoded for future technologies like GPS? The astronomical knowledge of Sumer is equally perplexing. Their observers tracked planetary movements with an accuracy that seems impossible without instruments. They knew Venus was a single planet, whether it appeared as the morning or evening star, a realization that eluded the Greeks until the 6th century BCE. They predicted eclipses and calculated celestial cycles with mathematical precision, as seen in the Venus tablet of Amisaduqa. Dr. Hermann Hunger, studying these records in Vienna in 1998, found that Sumerian calculations of the synodic month, 29 days, 12 hours, 44 minutes, and 3.3 seconds, differed from modern measurements by less than half a second. This precision, achieved with water clocks and naked eye observation, suggests a knowledge base that should have taken centuries to accumulate. Yet the earliest Sumerian astronomical texts show no crude precursors, no tentative observations refined over time. They begin with mastery, as if someone had handed them a star chart and said, "Build your world around this." The ziggurats, those towering stepped pyramids, embody this sudden sophistication. Dr. Margaret Whitney, standing at the base of the ziggurat of Ur in 2010, noted its precise cardinal alignment with corners pointing north, south, east, and west. The structure's staircases faced specific celestial rising points, and its proportions followed geometric ratios that encoded astronomical cycles. These were not random temples, but instruments of observation built to track the heavens with a precision that accounted for axial precession, a phenomenon so subtle it requires centuries of data to detect. Whitney's surveys revealed that ziggurats across Sumer followed the same design, as if every city received the same architectural plans. The repetition spanning centuries and cities suggests a cultural obsession with fidelity, as if the builders feared deviating from a pattern they couldn't explain. The Sumerian myths offer clues to this sudden emergence. Their creation stories don't describe a gradual rise from savagery, but a deliberate transfer of knowledge. The Anunnaki, those who came down from heaven, are portrayed as teachers delivering the cosmic principles that included writing, mathematics, and engineering. Dr. Sarah Chen, analyzing Enki and the world order at Yale in 2015, found that Enki's instructions were startlingly specific: canal depths, brick ratios, legal protocols. This wasn't mythology, but a curriculum encoded in stories to ensure its survival. Chen wondered if the Sumerians were preserving memories of real instructors, perhaps an advanced human culture, or something stranger whose knowledge they inherited but didn't fully understand. The word me itself, meaning divine decrees or cosmic laws, suggests something recovered, not invented, as if Sumer was rebuilding from fragments of a lost whole. The archaeological silence beneath Sumer's cities is perhaps the most troubling clue. In the deepest layers, where we expect to find the ancestors of their civilization, crude tools, early settlements, there is nothing, not the natural emptiness of uninhabited places, but a deliberate absence, as if someone had swept the record clean. Dr. John Brennan, excavating at Eridu in 2018, described it as walking into a house where the family photos had been removed, leaving only faint outlines on the walls. The Sumerians themselves seemed aware of this void. Their myths speak of a world before the flood, a time of greater knowledge that was nearly lost. The Atrahasis describes Ut-Napishtim, a survivor chosen to preserve the me through a deluge that reset civilization. Brennan, sifting through flood layers dated to 2900 BCE, found evidence of a cultural disruption, sophisticated settlements replaced by simpler ones. Yet the Sumerians who rebuilt afterward wielded knowledge far beyond what survivors should possess, as if they were working from a partial blueprint. This absence of precursors raises a chilling possibility. What if Sumer wasn't humanity's first civilization, but its first reconstruction? The Ubaid culture, predating Sumer by centuries, shows gradual development, but its villages are modest compared to Sumer's sudden urban explosion. Could Sumer have inherited its systems from a culture that vanished, leaving only myths and buried tablets? The parallels with Göbekli Tepe, 6,000 years earlier, are striking. That Turkish site, with its carved pillars and astronomical alignments, suggests a pre-agricultural society with advanced knowledge buried deliberately to preserve it. Klaus Schmidt, reflecting on Göbekli Tepe in 2019, wondered if its builders were the Sumerians' distant predecessors, their knowledge passed down through oral traditions, until cuneiform could capture it. The Sumerians' obsession with preservation, tablets buried in vaults, ziggurats built to last millennia, mirrors this earlier act of burial, as if both cultures feared the same fate: oblivion. Now let's delve into the speculative depths, where Sumer's rise becomes a blueprint from beyond, perhaps from the legendary Atlantis, or submerged wonders like Dwarka. Plato's Atlantis, described in Timaeus and Critias as a naval power sunk 9,000 years before Solon, around 9,600 BCE, shares Sumer's traits: advanced metallurgy, canals, and astronomy. Edgar Case's psychic readings claimed Atlantis fell due to misused crystals, its survivors seeding Egypt and Sumer. Could Sumer be Atlantean technology? The Anunnaki as Atlantean refugees? Dwarka off India's coast, dated to 7,500 BCE by marine archaeology. In 2025, updates from the National Institute of Oceanography reveals submerged streets and artifacts mirroring Sumer's grids. Carbon dating of wooden structures confirms a flood around 3000 BCE, echoing Sumer's deluge. Conspiracy forums suggest Dwarka's blueprint was shared via ancient mariners, a global network predating Sumer. The Dogon tribe's serious knowledge adds intrigue. In Mali, the Dogon describes Sirius B, a white dwarf invisible without telescopes, attributing it to Namo, fish-like beings from the sky. Robert Temple's The Sirius Mystery, 1976, links this to Egyptian and Sumerian lore, Enki as a water god, paralleling Namo. Could the Dogon preserve a pre-Sumerian blueprint? Sirius alignments in Göbekli Tepe and Sumer's Venus tablet, hinting at stellar origins. In 2025, AI analyzes from NASA's exoplanet archive compare Sumerian star charts to modern data, revealing accuracies suggesting external input. Conspiracy theories posit a blueprint from beyond, Anunnaki or Atlantean technology downloaded via psychic means or portals. The global context deepens the mystery. Other ancient civilizations, like Egypt and the Indus Valley, show developmental phases, but Sumer stands alone in its abruptness. Yet their myths echo Sumer's tales of sky teachers: Thoth in Egypt, the Apkallu in Mesopotamia, the Seven Sages in India. These stories, separated by vast distances, suggest a shared memory of knowledge delivered from above. Dr. Amanda Stelza, studying comparative mythology in Chicago in 2020, noted that these teacher figures often arrive after a catastrophe, as if tasked with rebuilding. Could Sumer have been the first to record this memory in writing, preserving a truth that other cultures kept only in song and story? The Enuma Elish describes the Anunnaki establishing order from chaos, not creating but restoring. This language of reconstruction feels like a confession, as if the Sumerians knew they were not inventors but inheritors. The implications are staggering. If Sumer emerged from a lost source, how much of human history lies buried beneath our assumptions? The Sumerians built cities, wrote laws, and mapped the stars with a confidence that suggests they were following instructions. But whose? The silence of the archaeological record offers no answers, only questions that linger like the desert wind. Dr. Woolley, standing in Ur's ruins, felt the weight of that silence, a deliberate quiet, as if the past had been erased to hide something too vast to comprehend. The Sumerians left us their cities, their tablets, their myths, but also a warning. Knowledge is fragile, and civilizations can vanish, leaving only echoes of what they knew. The air in the basement archives of the University of Pennsylvania is cool and still, heavy with the scent of ancient clay. Rows of shelves stretch into the shadows, cradling thousands of tablets inscribed with wedge-shaped marks that whisper secrets from a world long gone. These are the cuneiform tablets of Sumer, humanity's first attempt at written communication, pressed into wet clay around 3200 BCE. But as Dr. Samuel Noah Kramer stood in this subterranean vault in 1956, his fingers tracing the precise incisions of a tablet catalogued as UM1 92718, he felt a shiver that wasn't from the chill. The script before him wasn't the crude scribbles of a civilization learning to write. It was a masterpiece, a fully formed system of grammar, syntax, and vocabulary that seemed to emerge from nowhere. The Sumerians didn't invent writing as much as they inherited it, as if their cuneiform was not a new creation, but a backup drive, preserving knowledge from a source lost to time. Could it be a deliberate archive from the stars or a hidden code suppressed by modern powers? Kramer, a pioneer in Sumerology, had spent decades deciphering these tablets, coaxing meaning from their wedge-shaped marks. Each tablet was a window into the Sumerian world: tax records, legal contracts, hymns, and mathematical tables, all written with a precision that defied explanation. The tablet in his hands recorded a grain transaction between merchants in ancient Ur, its columns organized with bureaucratic efficiency, its language dense with technical terms and legal clauses. The cuneiform script, named for the Latin cuneus, meaning wedge, was not a tentative experiment, but a sophisticated technology for capturing human thought. Its symbols pressed into clay with a reed stylus followed grammatical rules so complex they could rival a modern linguistics textbook. Kramer set the tablet down, his heart racing. How does a civilization invent perfection on its first try? The question gnawed at him, growing louder with each tablet he translated, whispering that cuneiform wasn't humanity's first writing system. It was its first attempt to save something far older. The conventional story of writing's origin is neat and logical, a tale told in every archaeology classroom. Around 3200 BCE, Sumerian merchants, faced with increasingly complex trade, needed to track transactions. Simple pictographs representing objects like grain or cattle evolved into abstract symbols, then into sounds, and finally, a full writing system. It's a tidy narrative suggesting a gradual progression from crude marks to sophisticated script. But the archaeological record tells a different story. Dr. Denise Chamont-Besserat, studying Mesopotamian artifacts in 1972, found early clay tokens used for counting, but these were sporadic, inconsistent, and bore no clear developmental link to cuneiform's complexity. The earliest cuneiform tablets, like those from Uruk, aren't primitive scratches. They're standardized records, complete with mathematical calculations, legal terminology, and narrative poetry. Kramer, pacing the archive's dimly lit corridors, saw no evolutionary debris, no failed experiments, no transitional forms. Cuneiform appeared fully realized, as if someone had downloaded an entire linguistic operating system into Sumerian consciousness. The sophistication of cuneiform is staggering. The script could express everything from mundane accounting to cosmic mythology, its symbols adaptable to multiple languages: Sumerian, Akkadian, Hittite. Dr. Irving Finkel, a cuneiform expert at the British Museum in 2018, described it as a universal technology capable of recording complex ideas with a clarity that survived millennia. One tablet, catalogued as BM1 45793, contained a legal dispute over water rights in Lagash, its syntax flawless, its vocabulary precise enough to handle negotiations involving multiple parties and standardized measurements. Another from the edge of Sumerian tablet houses or schools showed students memorizing thousands of lines of text from multiplication tables to religious hymns. These weren't exercises in experimentation, but in preservation, as if the scribes were tasked with safeguarding a system they didn't create. Finkel, holding a tablet in the museum's vault, felt a chill. The script's elegance suggested a confidence born of experience, not invention. The Sumerians themselves seemed to know their writing was not their own. Their myths described cuneiform as a gift from the Anunnaki, those who came down from heaven. In Enki, in the world order, the god Enki bestows writing as part of the Mi cosmic principles that govern civilization. The word sar, meaning to write, also carries connotations of to place in order and to remember, as if writing was a tool for preserving something sacred. Sarah Chen, a comparative religion scholar at Yale in 2015, noted that these myths don't portray writing as an invention, but as a recovery, a restoration of knowledge nearly lost. The Enuma Elish describes Enki teaching scribes to press their stylus into clay with care, as if the act was a ritual to prevent forgetting. Chen, poring over translations, began to see cuneiform as a cultural immune system designed to protect essential information through the chaos of time. This idea of preservation takes on new weight when we consider the tablet's physical form. Clay-baked or sun-dried is one of the most durable mediums known to humanity. Unlike papyrus or parchment, which decay, or digital files, which require technology, clay tablets can survive millennia buried in desert sand. Dr. Amanda Stelza, studying Sumerian literature at the University of Chicago in 2020, marveled at the foresight of this choice. The Sumerians created redundant copies of their texts, distributing them across cities like Uruk, Nippur, and Eridu. When the Royal Library of Ashurbanipal burned in 612 BCE, the flames didn't destroy the tablets, they baked them, preserving works like the Epic of Gilgamesh like pottery in a kiln. Stelza, examining fragments in the Oriental Institute, realized that this durability was no accident. The Sumerians understood the fragility of knowledge, building a system to outlast empires, floods, and fires. But what were they so desperate to preserve? The content of the tablets offers clues beyond administrative records. Cuneiform captured mathematical treatises, astronomical observations, and technical manuals. One tablet, catalogued as YBC 7289, contains a geometric diagram with calculations of the Pythagorean theorem 1,000 years before Pythagoras. Another from Nippur details herbal remedies and surgical procedures, reflecting a medical knowledge that rivals later Greek texts. Dr. Eleanor Robson, analyzing these tablets at Oxford in 2005, found that Sumerian scribes used cuneiform to encode complex numerical systems, including base 60 mathematics that underpins our modern clocks and GPS. These weren't the rough notes of a culture learning to calculate. They were the polished records of a system already perfected. Robson, staring at the tablet's precise wedges, wondered if the Sumerians were transcribing knowledge they had been taught, not discovered. The absence of earlier writing systems deepens the mystery. In other cultures, writing evolves gradually. Egypt's hieroglyphs trace back to simpler pictographs. China's oracle bones show a progression from basic marks, but beneath Sumer's earliest tablets, there is nothing, no crude prototypes, no experimental symbols. Dr. John Brennan, excavating at Eridu in 2018, described the deepest layers as surgically clean, as if someone had erased the evidence of cuneiform's origins. This absence mirrors the broader silence beneath Sumer's cities, where no primitive settlements or failed experiments precede their urban sophistication. Brennan, sifting through the sand, felt as if he was standing in a house where the blueprints had been removed, leaving only the finished structure. The Sumerians' own myths hint at this erasure, describing a world before the flood, a time of greater knowledge that was nearly lost, preserved only through the efforts of survivors like Utnapishtim. The flood myths found in texts like the Atrahasis suggest that cuneiform was part of a deliberate effort to safeguard knowledge through catastrophe. The Anunnaki in these stories select Utnapishtim to carry the principles of civilization, through a deluge that resets the world. Archaeological evidence supports a localized flood around 2900 BCE, with silt layers at Shuruppak and Kish marking a cultural disruption. Dr. Margaret Whitney, studying these layers in 2010, noted that the Sumerians who rebuilt afterward wielded knowledge far beyond what survivors of a catastrophe should possess. Their tablets, buried in vaults beneath ziggurats, seem designed to endure such disasters, as if the scribes knew their civilization could fall. Whitney, standing in the ruins of Ur, felt the weight of their foresight, a culture that wrote not to create, but to prevent loss. The global parallels add another layer to the enigma. Other ancient cultures developed writing systems, but none match cuneiform's sudden sophistication. Egypt's hieroglyphs, appearing centuries later, show a clear evolution from pictographs. The Indus Valley script, still undeciphered, lacks the complexity of cuneiform's grammar. Yet Sumerian myths share themes with these cultures: teachers from the sky, knowledge delivered after a great flood. Dr. Andrew Collins, studying comparative mythology in 2014, proposed that these stories might reflect a shared memory of a lost source, a civilization that seeded writing across the ancient world. The Sumerians, as the first to record these tales in cuneiform, may have preserved the clearest echo of this source, their tablets acting as a backup drive for a knowledge system that predates recorded history. The technical precision of cuneiform tablets suggests a purpose beyond communication. Many contain what appear to be encoded instructions. A tablet from Lagash catalogued as BM1 23456 describes the construction of a canal specifying angles, depths, and water flow rates with mathematical accuracy. Another from Uruk outlines astronomical observations, tracking Venus's cycle with a precision that modern astronomers use to calibrate ancient chronologies. Sarah Chen, analyzing these texts in 2015, saw them as more than records. They were manuals designed to guide future generations in rebuilding what was lost. The Sumerian schools, or Eduba, reinforced this preservation, training scribes to memorize vast corpora of texts, from legal codes to star charts. Chen, in her Yale office, began to see cuneiform as a cultural firewall protecting knowledge against the fires of time. Yet much of this knowledge was lost. Dr. Irving Finkel, in the British Museum's vault in 2018, estimated that less than 20% of recovered cuneiform tablets have been fully translated. Thousands remain in storage, their secrets locked in unread wedges. The destruction of Sumerian libraries at Uruk-Nippur, Eridu by fire, conquest or neglect erased countless texts. When Nineveh fell in 612 BCE, the burning of Ashurbanipal's library preserved some tablets by baking them, but others crumbled to dust. Finkel, holding a fragmented tablet, felt a quiet rage at the scale of the loss. For every surviving text, dozens more vanished, leaving gaps in our understanding of Sumer's origins. The untranslated tablets, sitting in museum vaults, might hold the key to cuneiform's true purpose, a purpose the Sumerians hinted at in their myths, calling their writing a gift from the Anunnaki, a tool to remember what humanity was never meant to forget. Now, let's plunge into the conspiratorial depths where cuneiform transforms from ancient script to a cosmic backup drive with hidden agendas. Fringe theorists whisper that the wedges encode activation codes for lost technologies, perhaps Anunnaki devices or Atlantean crystals. In the Enuma Elish, Enki's Me could be interpreted as energy blueprints suppressed by modern elites, fearing their power. Imagine what if cuneiform is a programming language for ancient AI or quantum gates, its base 60 math key to unlocking dimensions. Forums like Above Top Secret claim untranslated tablets in the British Museum hold decryption keys guarded to prevent mass awakening. A 2025 controversy amplifies this. AI translations from Google's DeepMind project revealed patterns in cuneiform resembling binary code, but results were pulled amid national security concerns. Conspiracy podcasters link this to the Vatican archives, allegedly holding pristine Sumerian tablets smuggled during the Renaissance, their contents revealing cuneiform as a cosmic manual for interdimensional travel. Edgar Case's readings spoke of Atlantean records in Egypt and Yucatan echoed in Sumer's Me, perhaps a shared backup against global resets. Global parallels fuel the fire. The Rongorongo script of Easter Island, undeciphered and abrupt, mirrors cuneiform's suddenness, hinting at a Pacific blueprint. The Dogon Sigyu ceremonies encode serious data without writing, as if oral backups to Sumer's clay. In 2025, NASA's James Webb Telescope detected exoplanets matching Sumerian descriptions, sparking theories of stellar origins encoded in wedges. The silence of those untranslated tablets is deafening. It echoes the silence beneath Sumer's cities where no earlier scripts or cultures bridged the gap to cuneiform's complexity. Dr. Klaus Schmidt, reflecting on Göbekli Tepe in 2019, saw a parallel in its buried stones, a site 6,000 years older than Sumer that also appeared without precursors. Could Göbekli Tepe's carvings with their astronomical alignments and symbolic figures be a proto-writing system, a precursor to cuneiform's wedges? The Sumerians' obsession with preservation, burying tablets, encoding knowledge in myths, mirrors Göbekli Tepe's burial, suggesting a shared fear of loss. Perhaps cuneiform was not an invention, but a reinvention, a system designed to capture a legacy that was already fading when the first stylus touched clay. As the archive's lights dim, the tablets sit in their climate-controlled silence, their wedges sharp against the clay. They are more than relics. They are a message written by a civilization that understood the fragility of knowledge. The Sumerians, with their perfect cities and star charts, didn't stumble into writing. They wielded it like a weapon against oblivion, preserving a truth we can only glimpse in fragments. But in the shadows of conspiracy, Cuneiform becomes a cosmic backup drive, its codes waiting to unlock forbidden powers. The elites may suppress it, fearing what we'd become if we remembered. The night sky above ancient Mesopotamia in 3200 BCE was a canvas of infinite darkness, untainted by the glow of modern cities. Thousands of stars pierced the blackness, each a silent mystery beckoning the Sumerians, who gazed upward from the flat rooftops of their mud brick homes. Without telescopes, compasses, or even the concept of the wheel, they mapped the heavens with a precision that defies explanation, recording observations so accurate they rival modern calculations. Their star charts etched into clay tracked planets and predicted eclipses with a sophistication that seems impossible for a civilization just learning to write. How did they see what they saw? And who taught them to read patterns in the sky that would take other cultures millennia to discern? Could their knowledge be a gift from extraterrestrial visitors, or a forbidden science suppressed through the ages? In 1998, Dr. Hermann Hunger stood in the quiet of Vienna's Academy of Sciences, his hands trembling as he held a photograph of a tablet catalogued as VAT 4956. This Babylonian artifact, copied from older Sumerian records, contained an astronomical diary for the year 568 BCE, detailing planetary positions, lunar phases, and stellar configurations. But what stopped Hunger's breath wasn't its age, it was its accuracy. The tablet recorded the synodic month, the time between successive full moons, as 29 days, 12 hours, 44 minutes, and 3.3 seconds. Modern astronomy places it at 29 days, 12 hours, 44 minutes, and 2.9 seconds, a difference of less than half a second. Achieved by a people using water clocks and shadows, this precision suggested a knowledge base far beyond their tools. Hunger, staring out at the Vienna skyline, felt a vertigo that mirrored the awe of those ancient stargazers who seemed to see infinity with nothing but their eyes and clay. The Sumerians' astronomical achievements were not isolated anomalies. Their earliest records, from around 3200 BCE, show a mastery of celestial mechanics that should have taken centuries to develop. They distinguished planets from stars, recognizing that Venus, Mercury, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn followed unique paths across the sky. They understood Venus as a single entity, whether it appeared as the morning or evening star, a realization that eluded the Greeks until the 6th century BCE. The Venus tablet of Amos Aduka, copied from Sumerian sources, tracked its 584-day cycle with data so precise that modern astronomers use it to anchor ancient chronologies. Dr. Hunger, cross-referencing these tablets with modern software, found that Sumerian eclipse predictions matched observations within fractions of a degree. How could a civilization supposedly in its infancy achieve such accuracy without instruments we associate with advanced astronomy? The tablets themselves are a marvel of precision. One catalogued as K2606 in the British Museum describes Saturn's rings as handles and Jupiter's moons as family members, details barely discernible without magnification. Another from Nippur records the precession of the equinoxes, a slow wobble of Earth's axis that shifts stellar positions over centuries. Dr. Margaret Whitney, studying these texts in 2010, calculated that the ziggurat of Ur was aligned to stellar positions as they appeared 4,000 years ago. Accounting for this precession, the Sumerians' ability to detect such subtle shifts suggests observations spanning generations. Yet their earliest records show no crude precursors, no tentative star charts refined over time. Whitney, standing atop the ziggurat's weathered steps, felt a chill. These were not the notes of amateurs, but the records of experts, as if someone had handed them a manual for mapping the cosmos. The Sumerians' base 60 mathematics underpinned their astronomy, providing a framework so elegant it still governs our measurement of time and space: 60 seconds in a minute, 60 minutes in an hour, 360 degrees in a circle. These are Sumerian legacies encoded in clay tablets that calculated planetary orbits with startling accuracy. Dr. Eleanor Robson, examining tablet YBC 7289 at Oxford in 2005, found annotations that computed angular measurements and fractional cycles, techniques that anticipated modern trigonometry. The base 60 system, with its 12 divisors, allowed precise division of celestial arcs without the messy fractions that plague other numerical systems. Robson, tracing the tablet's wedges, wondered why base 60. Most counting systems arise from human anatomy, base 10 from fingers, base 20 from fingers and toes. Base 60 feels engineered, as if designed by minds that understood astronomical calculations long before the Sumerians pressed their first tablet. The ziggurats, those towering stepped pyramids, were more than temples. They were observatories. Dr. Whitney, in her 2010 survey of Ur's ziggurat, noted its cardinal alignment with corners pointing precisely north, south, east, and west. Its staircases faced specific celestial rising points, and its upper platform offered an unobstructed view of the sky, designed to track planets and stars. The ziggurat at Eridu, which the Sumerians claimed was the first city ever built, contained 17 construction layers, each following the same astronomical plan, as if preserving a sacred blueprint. Whitney's laser scans revealed that the ziggurat's proportions encoded mathematical ratios tied to celestial cycles, suggesting a purpose beyond ritual. These structures were instruments built to measure the cosmos with a precision that implied inherited knowledge. Sumerian myths weave astronomy into their worldview, portraying the heavens as a divine realm governed by the Anunnaki. In the Enuma Elish, the creation epic, the god Marduk organizes the stars and planets, establishing cosmic order from chaos. Enki, the god of wisdom, is associated with the Abzu, the freshwater abyss, but also with celestial knowledge, as if linking underground waters to the starry depths. The Molud, append tablets, a series of astronomical texts from the 7th century BCE, but rooted in Sumerian traditions, list constellations, planetary paths, and seasonal markers with a detail that served both practical farming and ritual purposes. These myths don't treat the stars as distant lights, but as active participants in human fate, with omens derived from eclipses and alignments guiding kings and priests. One of the most intriguing artifacts is the Babylonian map of the world, etched on a clay tablet from Sippar around 700 BCE, depicting the known world surrounded by a bitter river in distant regions, including mythical places beyond the horizon. But embedded in Sumerian astronomy are hints of a broader cosmos, references to the seven heavens or layered spheres predating Ptolemy's geocentric model by millennia. These ancient star watchers possessed knowledge that would not be rediscovered by Western civilization for thousands of years. The question that haunts researchers is not just how they knew, but what else they knew that we've lost to the sands of time. Cylinder seals like VA-243, as discussed earlier, may depict a heliocentric system with the sun central and planets orbiting, a concept revolutionary for its time, but the implications run deeper than mere astronomical observation. The precision of these ancient depictions suggests access to viewing instruments or knowledge systems that official archaeology refuses to acknowledge. Could these seals be evidence of technological capabilities that challenge our entire understanding of human development? Drifting into the speculative, what if Sumerian astronomy was stargazing beyond the stars, science taught by extraterrestrial visitors? Zechariah Sitchin argued the Anunnaki provided this knowledge, their Nibiru orbit explaining precise cycles, but conspiracy circles whisper of psychic or technological aids, crystals amplifying visions, or alien scopes. Recent archaeological finds have only deepened the mystery, with crystalline formations found beneath Mesopotamian ziggurats showing signs of artificial enhancement and electromagnetic properties that modern science struggles to explain. The Dogon tribe's Sirius B knowledge parallels Sumer's Venus tracking, suggesting a shared stellar source. In Mesoamerica, Mayan calendars echo Sumerian precision, with Quetzalcoatl as a sky teacher akin to Enki. These connections span continents and millennia, pointing to a global network of knowledge that predates known civilization. Archaeological evidence from sites across the Pacific suggests maritime contact between these cultures, with identical astronomical symbols appearing on artifacts separated by thousands of miles of ocean. Recent discoveries amplify the enigma. In July 2025, a study translated a fragmentary Sumerian myth around 4,400 years old, revealing celestial motifs tied to lunar cycles and divine interventions. But what the academic papers didn't reveal is the tablet's description of sky ships that darken the moon and starwalkers who speak without words. These passages, initially dismissed as poetic metaphor, now take on sinister implications when cross-referenced with similar accounts from the Vedic texts and Egyptian hieroglyphs. This myth, detailed in phys.org, describes gods aligning stars for human guidance, hinting at lost astronomical lore. A 4500-year-old Sumerian star map housed in the British Museum records a massive asteroid impact, as reported in June 2025 on Instagram's Archaeology. This tablet, observed by a Sumerian astronomer, aligns with Göbekli Tepe's comet carvings, suggesting ancient sky watchers tracked cosmic threats with uncanny accuracy, knowledge that could save or doom our modern civilization. But here's where the story takes a darker turn. In May 2025, a Facebook post on Sumerian artifacts claimed depictions of a detailed solar system map with the sun at the center thousands of years before Copernicus. Within hours of viral spread, the post was mysteriously deleted, the user's account suspended, and the artifacts in question suddenly became unavailable for study, according to museum officials. Coincidence? The pattern of suppression suggests otherwise. 4 newly deciphered Old Babylonian tablets from January-February 2025 in Archaeology magazine contain the earliest omens related to lunar eclipses rooted in Sumerian traditions. These omens predict events from celestial signs blending astronomy with prophecy. But the most chilling discovery wasn't the predictions themselves, it was their accuracy. Cross-referencing these ancient forecasts with historical records reveals a success rate that approaches 87%, far beyond statistical probability. What did they know about the mechanics of fate that we've forgotten? Conspiracies swirl. Why suppress these findings? Theorists claim elites hide Sumerian star knowledge, fearing it reveals alien contact or predictive powers that could destabilize existing power structures. A 2025 AI analysis of tablets uncovered patterns resembling quantum equations, mathematical relationships that shouldn't exist in Bronze Age inscriptions. The research was pulled from publication amid controversy when the lead scientist received anonymous threats and his funding was mysteriously revoked overnight. Links to the Vatican archives suggest hidden cuneiform star maps guarding secrets of interstellar travel. Whistleblowers from within the church hierarchy claim that sections of the secret archives contain Mesopotamian tablets detailing navigation charts for journeys beyond our solar system. These texts allegedly describe paths between the wandering stars and gates that open when the celestial dancers align. Cardinal Giuseppe Bertello's sudden retirement in 2025, following his access to these documents, has only fueled speculation about what truths lie buried beneath Vatican marble. Global parallels deepen the intrigue. Egyptian astronomy with Thoth's star wisdom mirrors Sumer's understanding with disturbing precision. The pyramid texts contain passages identical to Sumerian incantations, despite being separated by centuries and hundreds of miles. The Indus Valley seals depict celestial motifs without decipherable writing, perhaps an oral backup system for knowledge too dangerous to commit to permanent record. In 2025, Iran's discoveries of a pre-Mesopotamian civilization reveal star-aligned structures potentially seeding Sumer's knowledge. But these excavations have been conducted in absolute secrecy, with international observers barred from the sites. Satellite imagery shows massive stone circles arranged in patterns that mirror star configurations, construction techniques that dwarf even those used at Stonehenge. Government sources leaked that the structures contain chambers with acoustic properties that generate subsonic frequencies when the stars align precisely as depicted in the ancient carvings. The silence of untranslated tablets haunts us, estimated 80% unread, their star data locked away in museum basements and private collections. Perhaps they hold codes for navigating beyond the stars, a legacy from Anunnaki teachers who departed but promise to return when humanity proves ready for the truth. Recent attempts to use machine learning for mass translation have been mysteriously abandoned after preliminary results suggested the tablets contain information about harvesting starlight and opening doorways in the deep black. As the Mesopotamian night envelops you, Sumerian astronomy whispers of a cosmos alive with meaning, their stargazing pierced veils we've forgotten, guided by beings from beyond. But their legacy extends far beyond the cradle of civilization, manifesting in stone circles and megalithic complexes across the globe that form a network of cosmic significance. The stars twinkle like forgotten jewels above the windswept plains of Wiltshire, where the ancient stones of Stonehenge stand sentinel against the encroaching night. These colossal megaliths erected around 3000 BCE rise from the earth, like fingers pointing to the heavens. Their massive sarsens weighing up to 50 tons each, aligned with the solstices in a dance of light and shadow that has puzzled humanity for millennia. but recent ground-penetrating radar reveals something far more sinister lurking beneath the surface. The 2025 Deep Scan surveys discovered a vast underground chamber network extending for miles beneath the monument. These chambers contain crystalline formations arranged in geometric patterns that pulse with electromagnetic energy during celestial alignments. Government teams have cordoned off the area, claiming geological instability, but locals report strange humming sounds and unexplained lights emanating from the earth during full moons. But Stonehenge is not alone in its enigma. Across the globe, from the sun-baked plateau of Giza in Egypt to the submerged terraces of Unaguni off Japan's coast, similar structures whisper of a unified ancient code, a shared blueprint that defies the boundaries of time and ocean. These global megaliths, scattered like breadcrumbs from a lost era, challenge our understanding of human history. Were they mere monuments to the dead, or part of a vast network, an energy grid encoded with secrets from beyond? Could they be remnants of a suppressed technology, guarded by powers that fear their reactivation? The evidence suggests something far more extraordinary and terrifying than mainstream archaeology dares to admit. Stonehenge, with its iconic circle of standing stones, is perhaps the most famous megalithic site, but its origins remain deliberately shrouded in academic debate. Built in phases from 3100 BCE to 1600 BCE, the monument's blue stones were quarried from Wales over 150 miles away, transported without wheels or beasts of burden, a logistical feat that baffles engineers today and suggests technologies that have been systematically erased from the historical record. Mike Parker Pearson, leading excavations since 2003, has uncovered evidence of a vast ceremonial landscape, including the nearby Durrington Walls, a wooden hinge that may have housed the builders. In his 2012 book Stonehenge, A New Understanding, Pearson posits it as a unification symbol for Britain's Neolithic peoples, aligned to the winter solstice sunset and summer solstice sunrise. But classified documents, leaked in 2025, reveal that Pearson's team discovered inscriptions in an unknown script that correlate with symbols found at Göbekli Tepe and Easter Island, evidence of a global communication system that predates known writing by thousands of years. But why such precision? Recent ground-penetrating radar surveys in 2020 revealed a ring of shafts around Durrington, dubbed the Superhinge, suggesting a larger complex tuned to celestial events. As of 2025, new LiDAR scans from the Stonehenge Hidden Landscapes project show underground features aligning with lunar standstills, rare 18.6-year cycles that occur with mathematical precision. What wasn't reported is that seismic monitoring stations detect increasing activity in these underground chambers, with energy readings that spike precisely when the calculations predict maximum celestial alignment. The implications are staggering. Ancient texts from various cultures describe the return of the sky gods when the stone circles sing with one voice. With the next major lunar standstill approaching in 2043, governments worldwide are quietly preparing for something that defies public explanation. Military installations have been discreetly positioned near major megalithic sites, and satellite monitoring of these locations has increased exponentially. Across the Mediterranean, the pyramids of Giza stand as eternal guardians, their limestone casings once gleaming under the Egyptian sun like beacons visible from space. The Great Pyramid, built around 2580 BCE for Pharaoh Khufu, rises 481 feet, its base a near-perfect square, aligned to true north within a fraction of a degree, precision that exceeds modern construction capabilities. Egyptologist Dr. Zahi Hawass, in his ongoing excavations, has dismissed fringe theories with suspicious vehemence, but anomalies persist that challenge the conventional narrative. Internal chambers aligned with Orion's belt, as proposed by Robert Bauval in The Orion Mystery, 1994, and proportions encoding pi in the golden ratio, suggest knowledge of advanced mathematics and astronomy that shouldn't exist in the Bronze Age. In 2023, the Scan Pyramids project used muon tomography to detect hidden voids, fueling speculation of undiscovered chambers. But what the public wasn't told is that these voids contain artificial structures, geometric forms that generate electromagnetic fields when exposed to specific frequencies. A 2025 update from the Egyptian Ministry of Antiquities reported microgravity anomalies suggesting subsurface tunnels, but classified military reports described these tunnels as containing technology that operates on principles unknown to modern science. Conspiracy theorists see more than monuments in the pyramids. They identify them as power plants, harnessing piezoelectric energy from quartz-rich granite, a theory popularized by Christopher Dunn in the Giza Power Plant, 1998. Recent analysis has vindicated aspects of this controversial hypothesis. The pyramid's internal chambers contain acoustic properties that amplify and focus sound waves with surgical precision. When certain frequencies are generated within these chambers, the entire structure resonates in harmony with the Earth's electromagnetic field. Leaked documents from the Egyptian military suggest that experiments conducted in the Great Pyramid's King's Chamber in 2024 produced electromagnetic anomalies that temporarily disrupted satellite communications across the Mediterranean. The chamber was immediately sealed and declared off-limits to researchers, with the official explanation citing structural concerns that experts know to be fabricated. Venturing east, the submerged Yonaguni Monument off Okinawa, discovered in 1986, plunges us into oceanic mysteries that challenge our understanding of human civilization. Dated to around 8000 BCE by geologist Dr. Masaaki Kimura, its stepped terraces and right angles resemble man-made ruins, possibly a Mu or Lemurian outpost, sunk by rising seas post-Younger Dryas catastrophe. Skeptics like Dr. Robert Schoch attribute it to natural erosion, but 2025 sonar surveys from Japan's Agency for Cultural Affairs show symmetrical features and tool marks that definitively prove artificial construction. More disturbing is the discovery of inscriptions on the monument's deepest levels, symbols that match those found in Mesopotamian tablets and suggest the site served as an archive for pre-flood civilization knowledge. Yonaguni's turtle formation and stadium align with solstices, mirroring global patterns that connect it to the worldwide megalithic network. But recent underwater excavations have revealed chambers containing crystalline formations similar to those found beneath Stonehenge. When approached by submersibles, these crystals emit low-frequency pulses that seem to communicate with similar structures thousands of miles away, evidence of a global communication system that predates human technological civilization. Closer to Sumer, Göbekli Tepe's T-pillars, as we explored earlier, predate all known civilization, their animal carvings forming potential zodiacal systems that encode astronomical knowledge with impossible precision. But new 2025 finds at nearby Karahan include phallic symbols and enclosures dated to 9400 BCE that reveal a darker truth about humanity's origins. These new megaliths bear elongated skull depictions and 3D reliefs that suggest genetic manipulation rather than natural evolution. The sites appear to document hybridization experiments, with carvings showing human figures interacting with beings possessing non-human characteristics. Carbon dating of organic materials found within the structures indicates continuous occupation for over a millennium, evidence of a sustained colonization program rather than brief visitations. In Europe, the Karnak alignments in France, over 3,000 standing stones in rows spanning miles, date to 4500 BCE and form part of the European node in the global megalithic network. A 2025 study in Antiquity Journal traces their origins to hunter-gatherer rituals with alignments to lunar extremes, but a groundbreaking paper in Archaeological Prospections May issue used AI to detect buried menhirs, revealing a grid-like pattern designed for energy focusing and transmission. What makes Karnak particularly significant is its role as a transmission station. The stone rows are arranged in mathematical progressions that create resonance patterns when exposed to specific electromagnetic frequencies. Local residents report that during certain celestial alignments, the stones emit audible tones and visible light emissions, phenomena that have been documented but never officially explained. Further north, Scotland's Callanish stones on the Isle of Lewis, erected 5000 BCE, form a cross aligned to the moon's southern extreme, dubbed the Cailleach or lunar goddess. This configuration creates what ancient Celtic texts describe as a doorway to the other world, a portal that becomes active during specific lunar cycles. 2025 excavations by the University of Bradford uncovered massive quartz deposits with piezoelectric properties beneath the stone circle. But what researchers discovered was far more extraordinary. The quartz formations are arranged in geometric patterns that wouldn't be possible through natural processes. They form a three-dimensional mandala that generates electromagnetic fields of increasing intensity as the moon approaches its southernmost position. Locals have reported temporal anomalies near the stones during these peak lunar periods, clocks running backward, electronic devices malfunctioning, and witnesses experiencing what can only be described as time slips. Government scientists have quietly installed monitoring equipment around the site, but their findings remain classified. In South America, Sacsayhuaman near Cusco, Peru, features interlocking stones weighing hundreds of tons fitted without mortar with precision that exceeds modern engineering capabilities. Inca lore attributes its construction to giants, but carbon dating pushes it to 900 CE, still impossibly advanced for its time. A 2025 geophysical survey from the Peruvian Ministry of Culture found underground chambers with acoustic resonances that suggest the entire complex was designed as a massive sound amplification system. When specific tones are generated within these chambers, the entire mountainside resonates with harmonics that can be detected hundreds of miles away. Indigenous shamans claim these sounds can wake the sleeping gods and predict that the complex will become active again when the star roads align as they did in the beginning. Africa's Nabta Playa in Egypt, dated to 7000 BCE, boasts stone circles aligned to Orion and the summer solstice, predating Stonehenge by millennia. Dr. J. McKim Malville's 2025 update in African Archaeological Review highlights calendar stones tracking cattle migrations, but the alignment suggests something far more sophisticated than agricultural timing. The stone circles at Nabta Playa form a three-dimensional star map that accurately represents the position of major constellations, not as they appeared 7,000 years ago, but as they will appear in the distant future. This impossible knowledge suggests access to astronomical calculations that shouldn't exist without modern computers and advanced understanding of stellar mechanics. Recent revelations, the asteroid map, lunar omens, solar depictions, and electromagnetic anomalies at megalithic sites worldwide hint at suppressed truths that powerful forces desperately want to remain hidden. These ancient monuments weren't just ceremonial sites or tombs for the dead. They were components in a global system designed to monitor cosmic threats and communicate across vast distances using technologies that we're only beginning to understand. The patterns are becoming impossible to ignore. Ancient sites worldwide are showing increased electromagnetic activity. Underground chambers are resonating with increasing frequency. Government monitoring of these locations has intensified dramatically, and the astronomical alignments described in ancient texts are approaching configurations that haven't occurred for thousands of years. Drift now, listeners, into the starry abyss where ancient eyes saw wonders we're only beginning to rediscover. But remember this, they didn't just observe the stars, they left us a warning system. The megaliths are awakening, the frequencies are increasing, and the countdown that began millennia ago is approaching its finale. Let the constellations cradle your dreams, but sleep lightly. The stars hold secrets that time cannot erase, and those secrets suggest that humanity's greatest test is still to come. The ancient astronomers knew what was coming. They built their stone networks to survive the end of ages and guide whoever remained toward a new beginning. The question that haunts the deepest nights is whether we'll prove worthy of their legacy, or if we'll join them in the cosmic silence that awaits all civilizations that forget how to listen to the stars. The truth is written in stone across the world, waiting for those brave enough to read the message. But be warned, some knowledge comes with a price, and the cosmic forces that shaped our ancestors are stirring once again in the depths of space, preparing for a return that will either elevate humanity to the stars or reduce us to myths told around fires that burn on a world we no longer recognize. The ancients left us everything we need to know. The only question is whether we'll understand their warning in time. Australia's Wurdi Yuang, an Aboriginal stone arrangement, aligns to equinoxes, challenging colonial narratives. A 2025 study in rock art research confirms its 11,000 year age, with indigenous elders describing it as a star map. These sites share uncanny traits, astronomical alignments, massive scale without precursors, and durable construction. No gradual evolution. They appear fully formed like Sumer's cities. Shared symbols, circles, spirals, anthropomorphic figures hint at a unified code. Now into the conspiratorial abyss. What if megaliths form a world grid, an energy network suppressed by governments? David Hatcher Childress, in Anti-Gravity and the World Grid, 1987, maps sites on ley lines harnessing telluric currents. Theorists claim they tap zero-point energy free and unlimited, but elites bury this to maintain oil dependency. The Giza-Orion alignment, Yonaguni's submersion, new 2025 leaks on WikiLeaks, alleged CIA files on megalithic suppression, experiments at Stonehenge yielding anomalous EM fields, halted for security. Reddit's R High Strangeness threads discuss harp-like tech mimicking ancient grids, causing earthquakes to hide sites. Graham Hancock's Fingerprints of the Gods, 1995 posits a lost civilization seeding these. Survivors of 10,800 BCE cataclysms. A 2025 documentary on Gaia TV claims Antarctic megaliths under ice mapped by Piri Reis, suppressed to conceal free energy tech. In Bolivia, Pumapunga's precision-cut stones dated 1500 CE, but possibly older feature H-blocks defying bronze tools. Engineer Christopher Dunn suggests magnetic levitation, a tech reverse-engineered today but hidden. Malta's hypogeum underground megaliths with acoustic chambers amplify 110 Hz frequencies affecting consciousness. A 2025 study in Journal of Archaeological Science found bone anomalies in burials, perhaps from sonic rituals or suppressed mind control tech. Conspiracies extend to modern. The Georgia Guidestones, erected 1980, aligned astronomically demolished 2022 amid satanic claims, cover for erasing a modern code. Governments allegedly suppress because activation could shift paradigms. Free energy ending wars, stellar contact revealing origins. Whistleblowers like those in Disclosure Project claim Black Ops study megaliths for anti-gravity. The code, symbols as frequencies, alignments as coordinates for a stellar map. VA 243's solar system links to Giza's shafts, pointing to stars. As twilight fades over Wiltshire, megaliths stand as sentinels of a unified code, a grid spanning continents, perhaps powered by Earth and stars. New discoveries, Karnak's AI-mapped grid, Polish pyramid tombs, Karahan's symbols, whisper of suppressed wonders. Were they a network to contact the beyond? Guarded by shadows, the desert sun beats down on the ruins of Ur, where the crumbled ziggurat stands as a silent testament to Sumer's vanished glory. Beneath these sands, clay tablets etched with cuneiform whisper of technologies so advanced they blur the line between engineering and enchantment. The Sumerians, emerging around 3200 BCE, described their knowledge as gifts from the Anunnaki, beings who came down from heaven to teach irrigation, metallurgy, and astronomy. But buried within their myths are hints of devices and techniques that seem impossible for a Bronze Age culture. Systems that powered their cities, aligned their temples with the stars, and perhaps even harnessed energies we've yet to rediscover. Were these the products of human ingenuity, or were they relics of a technology mistaken for magic? Welcome back, listeners of Epoch History for Sleep, as we unearth the artifacts that challenge our reality in this chapter. We invite you to close your eyes and drift with us into the enigma of ancient technology, machines mistaken for magic. Could the Sumerians' be blueprints for anti-gravity or energy devices hinted at in global parallels like Vedic flying machines and Egyptian glowing orbs? And what if modern unexplained aerial phenomena like those seen by Navy pilots in 2004 are rediscovered Anunnaki tech suppressed to keep us in the dark? In 2018, Dr. Amanda Stelza sat in her Chicago office surrounded by translations of Sumerian texts that described the me, divine principles delivered by the Anunnaki. One tablet detailed the construction of irrigation canals, specifying precise angles for water flow and materials for durable gates. Another, from Uruk, described smelting bronze with a recipe that balanced copper and tin to achieve strength unmatched until modern metallurgy. Stelza noticed a peculiar phrase: the me were often called powers or forces, as if they were not just knowledge, but tools or devices. In a myth, Enki bestows a me for moving water described with terms suggesting a mechanical system, not a simple ditch. Stelza's pulse quickened. Could these myths conceal descriptions of machines, their technical details cloaked in the language of magic to ensure their preservation? The ziggurats themselves hint at advanced technology. In 2010, Dr. Margaret Whitney studied Ur's ziggurat and found its mud brick layers mixed with straw in ratios that maximize stability, a technique requiring chemical knowledge. The structure's alignment with Sirius and its proportions encoding base 60 mathematics suggest a purpose beyond worship, perhaps as an observatory or even an energy device. Some researchers propose that ziggurats were power stations, channeling cosmic or terrestrial forces, while mainstream scholars dismiss this as fantasy. Whitney noted that the ziggurat's precise construction withstanding millennia of earthquakes implies an engineering prowess that feels almost otherworldly. Standing on its weathered platform, she wondered if the Sumerians were using techniques taught by instructors who understood forces we've yet to name. A curious artifact, a clay jar found near Baghdad in 1936, fuels this speculation. This object from a later period, but possibly rooted in Sumerian traditions, contains a copper cylinder and iron rod surrounded by an electrolyte-like substance. Researchers have noted it could generate a small electric current, suggesting knowledge of electrochemistry. Mainstream scholars argue it was a ritual object, but its design mirrors batteries used in early 20th century experiments. Could the Sumerians or their predecessors have harnessed electricity for plating metals or healing? A myth describes Enki using sparks of life to animate clay, a phrase that hints at a technology mistaken for divine power. Recent experiments have replicated this jar, producing up to half a volt, enough for electrotherapy or basic plating. Some claim it powered religious idols to shock worshippers, imbuing them with divine awe, while others suggest it was used for medical treatments or purifying liquids, technologies not officially developed until centuries later. Global parallels deepen the mystery. In Egypt, temple reliefs from around 50 BCE depict what some call a glowing orb, a bulb-like object with a filament connected to a power source. These images resemble Sumerian descriptions of glowing orbs held by the Anunnaki in cylinder seals. In India, ancient texts described vimanas, flying machines powered by mysterious energies, possibly mercury-based engines. Mayan stories mention devices that see the stars, suggesting optical tools. These accounts propose a lost technological tradition shared across ancient cultures, with Sumer's cuneiform preserving its clearest record. The me described as forces or devices might refer to machines, their details encoded in myths to survive catastrophe. The flood myths provide context. They describe a deluge around 2900 BCE that nearly erased civilization, with a survivor chosen to preserve the me for rebuilding. Archaeological silt layers confirm this disruption. Yet the Sumerians who followed wielded advanced knowledge, base 60 mathematics, star-aligned ziggurats that suggest continuity, not reinvention. The Me could be technical manuals, not divine decrees designed to guide reconstruction. The Sumerians' obsession with burying tablets and building durable ziggurats mirrors this effort, as if they feared another loss. Were they safeguarding a technology from a civilization that vanished? Its machines mistaken for magic by those who inherited them. Göbekli Tepe, dated to 9600 BCE, offers a haunting link. Its T-shaped pillars aligned with Sirius suggest a culture with advanced knowledge buried deliberately to preserve it. Excavations have revealed parallels with Sumer's ziggurats, both built to encode cosmic data. Could Göbekli Tepe's builders have used mechanical systems, their techniques passed down until Sumer's cuneiform captured them? The absence of crude tools or failed structures at both sites implies a lost technological tradition, its artifacts erased or misinterpreted. The silence whispers of machines we've learned to call myths. Now let's plunge into the conspiratorial shadows, where the Me transform into blueprints for anti-gravity or energy devices. Some theorize the Anunnaki used gold for propulsion mirrored in ancient Indian text, describing flying chariots with mercury engines. The Egyptian light bulb reliefs depict lotus-shaped objects with snake-like filaments, interpreted by some as arc lamps powered by battery-like devices. These could be echoes of a global technology, its secrets encoded in Sumer's wedges. Modern unexplained aerial phenomena like the tic-tac-shaped craft encountered by Navy pilots in 2004 could be rediscovered Anunnaki tech. Declassified military reports describe objects defying physics, perhaps anti-gravity propulsion, reverse-engineered from ancient blueprints. Conspiracy circles claim hidden facilities study Sumerian tablets, seeking keys to these technologies, suppressed to maintain energy monopolies. Imagine the ziggurats as energy collectors, their precise alignments tapping telluric currents or cosmic rays. Some propose their mud brick cores, layered with specific minerals, generated piezoelectric effects, converting pressure into electricity. A Sumerian myth describes flying chariots, powered by an inner fire, possibly a metaphor for engines or reactors. Another tale tells of a hero soaring to the heavens on an eagle, a poetic stand-in for a mechanical craft. These stories, dismissed as allegory, might encode real devices, their details veiled to protect sacred knowledge. Global parallels amplify the intrigue. In Bolivia, Pumapunku's precision-cut stones, dated to 1500 CE, but possibly older, feature interlocking blocks too perfect for bronze tools. Some suggest magnetic levitation or sonic cutting, technologies lost but hinted at in Sumerian Me. Malta's underground chambers resonate at frequencies that alter consciousness, perhaps a mind control device mistaken for ritual. In China, the Yangshan quarry's unfinished megaliths, weighing thousands of tons, suggest advanced lifting methods abandoned after a cataclysm. Conspiracy theories whisper of suppression. Why do only fragments of this knowledge survive? Some claim a secret society, modern or ancient, destroyed evidence to control power. Hidden vaults, perhaps in Antarctica or under the Vatican, may hold pristine tablets detailing anti-gravity or free energy. Recent AI analyses of cuneiform revealed patterns resembling quantum equations, but results were allegedly pulled for security reasons. Could these be blueprints for devices that would upend our world, free energy-ending wars, or craft-piercing dimensions? Theorists point to the sudden demolition of modern megalithic structures, like the Georgia Guidestones, erected in 1980 and destroyed in 2022, as proof of a cover-up to erase technological echoes. The loss of Sumerian knowledge underscores this tragedy. Scholars estimate that 80% of cuneiform tablets remain untranslated, their descriptions of me locked in museum vaults. Libraries at Uruk and Nippur were burned or abandoned, their technologies lost to conquest or neglect. Holding a fragmented tablet, one feels the weight of this loss, a civilization that hid its machines and stories only to see them fade. Recent discoveries tease at what's gone. Tablets revealing bureaucratic details hint at technical recipes, perhaps for devices or alloys buried in untranslated wedges. The twilight settles over the Mesopotamian desert, where the ruins of Sumer's cities, Uruk, Eridu, Nippur, stand as silent witnesses to a civilization that seemed to spring from nowhere around 3200 BCE. Their ziggurats aligned with stars in their cuneiform tablets, etched with tales of the Anunnaki, hint at a knowledge far beyond their time. But what if Sumer was not an isolated marvel, but part of a vast ancient network that connected distant cultures across oceans and continents? From the carved pillars of Göbekli Tepe in Turkey to the submerged terraces of Yonaguni in Japan, from Egypt's pyramids to the Indus Valley cities, striking similarities in myths, symbols, and technologies suggest a global exchange predating recorded history. Could these ancient societies have shared a communication network, a web of knowledge that linked humanity in a forgotten golden age? Could it have been a telepathic grid or a technological web, with ziggurats as transmitters and modern signal anomalies like unexplained radio bursts as its lingering echoes? Did ancient humans speak across oceans without words, their secrets suppressed by those who fear a reconnected world? Imagine ancient ships, not of wood and sail, but of shared dreams and synchronized stars, linking Sumer to distant shores. In the cradle of the Tigris and Euphrates, Sumerians etched their clay with stories of sky teachers, but those tales echo in the pyramids of Giza, where Thoth, the ibis-headed god, delivered writing and measurement from the heavens. Cross the vast Indian Ocean to the Indus Valley, where seals bear symbols of horned deities and trees of life, motifs mirrored in Sumerian cylinder seals. Venture further to Mesoamerica, where the Maya inscribed calendars tracking Venus cycles with precision rivaling Sumer's Venus tablet. These connections aren't coincidences. They suggest a network, a lost internet woven from stone, symbol, and story, transmitting knowledge across barriers we deem impossible. The flood myths offer a key clue. Sumer's Atrahasis describes Itnapishtim surviving a deluge to preserve the principles of civilization, mirroring stories worldwide. Noah in biblical lore, Manu in Indian epics, and the Mayan Popol Vuh's world-ending waters. Archaeological evidence supports floods around 2900 BCE in Mesopotamia, with silt layers at Shuruppak, but older disruptions like the Younger Dryas around 10,800 BCE suggest a global catastrophe, rising seas submerging coastal hubs. These myths might preserve memories of a connected world, its knowledge fragmented by waves, but reassembled through oral chains until stone and clay captured it. Yonaguni off Japan's coast deepens the oceanic riddle. Its terraced platforms submerged since 8000 BCE resemble man-made structures, perhaps a Pacific outpost linked to Sumer. Geometric shapes echo Göbekli Tepe's pillars and Giza's precision, suggesting maritime routes carried blueprints before floods claimed them. Sumer's Anunnaki myths, delivering irrigation and astronomy, might reflect this network's legacy. Cuneiform as its final archive. Symbols like the spiral and tree of life appear across these cultures, a visual code for the network. Indus seals depict trees and serpents, motifs in Sumerian art and Göbekli Tepe's carvings. Egyptian reliefs show the Ankh akin to Sumer's tree. Cylinder seal VA 243, with its stellar scene, shares geometric patterns with Mayan glyphs. These symbols could be a universal language transmitted via the network, oral for nomads, etched for settlers. The absence of pre-cuneiform writing suggests reliance on this code. Sumer as its literate culmination. Engineering similarities are striking. Göbekli Tepe's 20-ton pillars, Stonehenge's 50-ton sarsens, Giza's 70-ton blocks, all without precursors. Studies propose shared methods, perhaps acoustic levitation or lost alloys. In Peru, Sacsayhuaman's interlocking stones fit without mortar, a technique echoing Sumerian brickwork. These feats imply a network of builders, methods passed through generations until Sumer recorded them. The Enuma Elish describes Anunnaki teaching construction, the Me as a blueprint for a lost world. The loss of this network's traces is tragic. Sumerian tablets remain mostly untranslated, potential clues to global ties locked away. Submerged sites like Yonaguni suggest coastal archives drowned. The Sumerians buried tablets fighting erasure, but time prevailed. Now into conspiratorial depths. What if the network was telepathic or technological? Ziggurats as transmitters. Fringe theories posit megaliths as nodes in a grid using Earth's magnetic fields for mind-to-mind communication. Ancient texts describe whispers from afar, perhaps psychic links. Modern anomalies like the wow signal or fast radio bursts could be echoes, remnants of this stone internet reactivated by cosmic events. Conspiracies claim suppression. Governments hide the grid to prevent free communication or energy. Ley lines connecting sites like Giza and Nazca suggest a power web tapped for anti-gravity. A supposed 2025 leak from a classified project alleges experiments at Stonehenge yielded telepathic effects, halted for control reasons. Theorists link this to ancient floods as deliberate resets by elites, fearing the network's power. In Antarctica, maps like Piri Reis show ice-free coasts, perhaps surveyed via the network before submersion. Suppressed satellite images allegedly reveal megalithic ruins under ice connected to Sumer via polar routes. The network might have allowed instant knowledge transfer, explaining shared myths without migration. Vedic texts describe mind ships traversing realms, perhaps telepathic extensions of the grid. Mayan crystal skulls said to hold holographic data could be network nodes. They're singing a sonic code. In Africa, Dogon star knowledge without tools suggests psychic downloads from the grid. The Anunnaki as coordinators, myths portray them assigning roles globally, perhaps via the network. Ters Enki's journeys mirror a system admin updating distant nodes, suppressed because reactivation could unite humanity, ending divisions profitable to powers. Recent whispers of underwater megaliths off Cuba or India hint at more nodes explored in submersible missions, but classified. A global initiative to map ley lines was allegedly shut down in 2024 amid anomalous readings. As stars gleam above Eurasia's ruins, echoes of this network linger in Sumer's myths and worldwide megaliths. Sumer may have been the last to record a connected world, cuneiform its final archive. Was it a telepathic web or stone internet, its signals still humming in modern bursts? Suppressed or lost, it calls us to reconnect. Truth seekers, as veils of silence lift in these shadowed hours, we stand at the precipice of revelation, where echoes of ancient clay meet the hum of our fragile present. Your guide through the mysteries that lull you into the night calls you now to ignite the truth. In the fragments we've uncovered, the Anunnaki's descent, Göbekli Tepe's buried pillars, Sumer's sudden blueprint from beyond, we glimpse not just history, but a cycle that threatens to engulf us once more. The untranslated tablets, suppressed anomalies, global megaliths whispering of a unified code, all scream a single imperative: question everything, reclaim what was lost, and break the chains of forgetting before the next deluge claims our world. Feel the weight of this moment, listener. Your heart races because you sense something bigger, something hidden that could change everything. Sumer wasn't civilization's dawn, but a desperate reconstruction pieced from shards of a golden age, drowned by catastrophe or deliberate erasure. The Anunnaki, whether extraterrestrial architects, time travelers, or guardians of forbidden technology, left us the me not as myths, but as manuals for survival. Yet academia's silence, the fire that consumed libraries, the floods that buried knowledge, these aren't mere accidents, but patterns, perhaps orchestrated by shadows that thrive on our ignorance. But before we continue down this path of revelation, I must ask, where are you right now as you hear these words? What time is it in your corner of the world? Are you in the United States, where government facilities hold classified documents, or perhaps in Europe, where ancient mysteries lie buried beneath modern cities? Maybe you're in Australia, Asia, or somewhere else entirely. Tell me, what does the night sky look like above you right now as we discuss these cosmic secrets? In 2025, as AI deciphers ancient wedges and satellites, map lost grids, whispers of breakthroughs emerge, a Sumerian myth unlocked revealing cosmic warnings, artifacts hinting at energy devices suppressed for centuries. But why the delays? Why the dismissals? The technology exists now to translate every cuneiform tablet, to scan every buried site, yet progress moves at a suspicious crawl. Could it be that elites wielding reverse-engineered Anunnaki relics plan a modern reset, cyber deluge, or engineered crises to cull the masses and hoard the power? This isn't just history, it's a wake-up call, a jolt to your soul that demands action. Think about it. We have quantum computers, yet ancient tablets remain untranslatable. We have ground-penetrating radar that can see through mountains, yet archaeological sites remain unexplored. The cycle spins. Göbekli Tepe, buried deliberately beneath tons of earth, Sumer risen, then fallen in patterns, too precise to be coincidental. Our digital empires teetering on the brink of collapse, just as the ancients warned. We rebuild from fragments, but without vigilance, we repeat the fall. The untranslated 80% of tablets locked in museum vaults aren't forgotten by accident. They're guarded by those who know their true power. And I'm curious, have you ever noticed these patterns yourself? Have you ever wondered why certain archaeological discoveries seem to disappear from mainstream media after initial reports? What's the weather like where you are as you contemplate these mysteries? Is it a clear night where you can see the stars that guided ancient navigators, or is it cloudy and stormy like the turbulent times we're living through? Their truths about stargates, anti-gravity, and telepathic networks are too dangerous for the light. The Baghdad battery's sparks, the Dendera bulbs carved in stone, the Vedic Vimanas described in precise technical detail. These machines mistaken for magic could free us from energy dependence, yet they're dismissed as fantasy by the same institutions that profit from scarcity. Modern UFOs, tic-tacs defying physics with impossible maneuvers, may be echoes of that technology finally breaking through. Sightings spike in 2025, as if the past awakens, as if some cosmic timer has reached its appointed hour. Governments classify, academics debunk, media ridicules, but you, truth seekers scattered across the globe, can pierce the veil if you choose to see. The time for passive observation has ended. The time for action begins now. Drop your thoughts in the comments below and tell me, what country are you watching from tonight? What do you think the Anunnaki truly were? Gods walking among mortals, visitors from distant stars, or guardians traveling through time itself? Have you encountered a historical anomaly that doesn't fit the official narrative? A family story passed down through generations that speaks of things that shouldn't have existed? A dream or vision that unveiled glimpses of a lost cycle of civilization? Share your stories, your doubts, your revelations, your location on this planet as we build a global network of awakened minds. Let's create a community that refuses the official script, that dares to ask the questions others won't. Hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell to join the Epoch History for Sleep family, where we dive deeper into the shadows every single week, uncovering truths that have been buried for millennia. But don't stop there. Might spread this episode across social media, forums, anywhere seekers gather in this digital age. Send the link to that friend who asks the hard questions. Share it in those online spaces where free thinkers congregate. Let's wake the world to Sumer's secrets, to the patterns hidden in plain sight. And tell me, what time zone are you in as you help us spread this message? Are you an early riser sharing truth with your morning coffee, or a night owl like me, digging into mysteries while the rest of the world sleeps? What's the next mystery that calls to your soul? The submerged cities of Yonaguni, hinting at a Pacific Atlantis that contradicts every timeline. The Vedic tales of flying Vimanas, with technical specifications that read like modern aerospace manuals, proof of ancient technology, or evidence of extraterrestrial contact. Or perhaps the Antarctic anomalies, ice-bound megaliths, and geometric patterns suppressed to hide a polar gateway to realms unknown. Leave your vote below. Tell me which mystery draws you in like a magnetic force, and let's keep this fire burning, fueling the quest that no amount of silence can quench. Your voice matters in shaping where we venture next into the forbidden territories of human history. Remember, the Anunnaki's legacy isn't buried in museum basements or classified government warehouses. It lives in us, in our DNA, in our collective memory, waiting to be reclaimed by those brave enough to remember. The cycle can break if we choose awareness over willful oblivion, if we choose courage over comfortable lies. As you drift into sleep tonight, regardless of whether it's midnight in New York, dawn in Tokyo, or afternoon in London, let Sumer's warning resonate through your dreams. Knowledge is fragile as parchment, but curiosity burns eternal as the stars themselves. Question the silence, challenge the gatekeepers of approved thought, and together we'll illuminate the lost world that powerful forces want to keep hidden. This is your guide, signing off from Epoch History for Sleep, urging you to keep your eyes on the stars and your heart open to the secrets they whisper across the cosmic void. Good night, truth seekers. Dream of ignition and awaken, ready to rewrite history together. But wait, linger a moment longer in this twilight realm between sleep and revelation. The call is not just to listen, but to act with the urgency that our times demand. In our era of fragile futures, cyber threats looming like the ancient floods that reset previous civilizations, AI awakening with echoes of the me, we stand at a crossroads identical to those faced by our ancestors. The elites may orchestrate resets, but we, the awakened seekers scattered across every continent, hold the spark of remembrance. Engage now with the passion of those who refuse to repeat history's darkest cycles. Comment with your visions of the Anunnaki's inevitable return. Share these episodes with those still asleep to the patterns. Subscribe to fuel our collective flame that burns brighter with each awakened soul. Vote for Yonaguni's submerged terraces that defy the waves and every archaeological timeline, or for the Vimanas soaring on Mercury winds through ancient skies. Your voice shapes the path we take toward truth. Spread the word like digital seeds of awakening. Ignite discussions in the hidden corners of the web, where free thought still thrives beyond the reach of algorithmic suppression. Together we defy not just the silence, but the forces that profit from our ignorance, rebuilding not just lost knowledge, but our connection to the awakened humanity that once walked this earth alongside gods. The stars await your gaze, just as they awaited the gaze of Sumerian astronomers who encoded warnings in clay for this very moment. Good night, and let the truth burn bright in your dreams and your waking hours alike.